Erev Tov time. Tu Bishvat Sameach. Tonight is coming in Tu Bishvat. And what is the significance of this holiday? Number one, we call it the Rosh Hashanah Shel Ilanot. It's the new year of the trees. What does this mean, New Year for the trees? What does that mean? So the truth is, for us, New Year, what does New Year mean? Rosh Hashanah, right? We get judged, But the truth is that on Tu B'Shvat, the trees are not judged. So when are they judged, the trees? They're judged on Chag Shavuot, right? That's the judgment of the trees. So two different things, right? One, the judgment of the trees. Number one. Number two, you have also the Rosh Hashanah of the trees. Two different things. So what does the Rosh Hashanah mean? What does that mean? What's a nafkamina? Nafkamina is, right, how old is the tree? You have to know how old it is, right? Because the first 3 years you're not allowed to eat from the tree, right? Orla. So there's a prohibition. So you have to know. First 3 years asur. Then after that, right, you're allowed to eat from it. So you have to know how old the tree is. This is the reason why we call it Rosh Hashanah of the Ilanot.
Is it the law of Shemitah is only for Israel?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's only only in Eretz Israel. We don't have Shemitah over here in Chutz La'aretz. But we do have Orla. That's something else, right? Two different things. Shemitah we don't have, but Orla, the prohibition of Orla, also we have here in Chutz La'aretz as well. So what does that mean? If you plant a tree, right, in your backyard, first 3 years you cannot eat the fruits. You know that, right? You have to know.
3 years?
3 years. Right.
I heard 1 year.
No, 3 years. Yeah. So you got to know that, right? That's why we have to know how old the tree is. That's the whole thing. Okay, fine. So that's the whole thing with the Tu B'Shvat, So what do? We have this minhag where we eat from the fruits, of the trees. Especially, it says in the books, that we eat from the Sheva Minim, the 7 species, that are Eretz Israel is praised for them. Those are the real, ones that you have to really try to get. The other ones, you don't really have to get them. You don't have to buy apples and pears, and all kinds of things like this. You don't really need these things. You don't need banana. You don't need, right, all kinds of things like this. What do you need? You need the 7 species. So what are they, right? So yeah, dates, figs, right, grapes, raisins, pomegranates, right, olives, zetim. Right? These are the fruits that you need to buy. There's also chita and seorah. So what does that mean? Wheat and barley, right? But the thing is, does wheat grow on a tree? You know what the Americans say, right? Money doesn't grow on the tree. Wheat don't grow on the tree. It's the same thing, right? So what does that mean? It's not really an issue with the trees, the wheat. So therefore, you don't really have to have mezonot tonight, or tomorrow, whatever. You don't have to have mezonot. You don't have to eat mezonot because even though it's one of the 7 species, but it doesn't come from a tree. You understand? So some people do it anyway. They eat, why not? If you want, you could, There's no sin, right? There's no avera. There's no prohibition. If you want to eat something with wheat, mezonot, okay, so have something, whatever. Or even lechem, to eat bread, that's also, right, same thing. So whatever you want to have, right, something like that, that's fine. But you don't have to have that. The real minhag is to eat from the trees, right? Because it's the Rosh Hashanah of the trees. That's the whole point, So wheat is not a part of that. Okay. Another thing I want to tell you, interesting, right? We're going to get back to that a little bit, but I want to tell you also that it says in the Talmud that Tu B'Shvat, this is like a borderline, for the seasons. What does that mean? The winter starts to break over here, in Tu B'Shvat. It starts to get warmer, So this is like the dead end of the winter, And then right after that, it starts to get warmer. Same thing with Tu B'Av, right? We say the summer starts to break in Tu B'Av, It starts to get colder, right? The heat starts to go down. Same thing with Tu B'Shvat. Now the winter is starting to break. Same thing, right? So after the Tu B'Shvat, it's going to get warmer, little by little, right? It's not going to get automatically warm, on one day, but little by little, right? It starts to go down, the cold.
Winter is over.
Yeah, not exactly. We still have February, right? March, right? It's not really over, but it's starting to now go down, right? We just reached the apex, right? We reached the top, and now we're starting to descend. That's the whole thing. We're not finished yet. Okay.
Today in Israel was summer, 30 degrees.
Yeah, it was very hot. Yeah, I heard about that. That's beautiful, Eretz Israel, Baruch Hashem. It's a blessed land, So here also, right, we're eating the fruits which Eretz Israel is known to have the best, the best of these fruits. Right? All these fruits we just mentioned, right? In Eretz Israel, those fruits are the best. You cannot find any other place which has taste like that. Like go buy, dates, right, from California. No taste, tastes like paper, cardboard. No taste, nothing. But from Eretz Israel, it tastes really good. It's something else, right? You know what they do now? I'll tell you something, they're such a rashaima. These people, they're such wicked people, What they do is, right, there's this movement, lo aleinu, BDS, they try to boycott Israeli products. These rashaim, marurim. The reason why, what happens is like this, that sometimes they sell here Israeli produce, but they don't label it. You know why? Because if they label it, they do boycott. They don't allow them to sell it. Yeah, exactly. They're not allowed to do business with that. So this is the reason why. Sometimes you go to the store, you buy dates. It's from Israel, but it doesn't say because they don't want to label it. They're gonna lose money like that. But if you see that it's really sweet, it came from Israel because there's no other place like that which has sweet dates like Eretz Israel. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Same thing with pomegranates, by the way. It's best over there. Best pomegranates, right? Best figs also, right? Over there, much better. Taste California fig and taste Israeli fig. Altogether something of difference. You can't compare one to the other, right? It's not the same taste at all, right? The one has no sweetness, nothing there. California, it's no good. Right? They're not the same quality. That's the thing, so all these things, all these fruits, as we mentioned, they're very meshubach, they're very praiseworthy in Eretz Israel. This is the reason why we eat those. Okay, so let's just go through, right, the brachot. How do we do the brachot? The minhag is like this. I remember when I was in Israel, I was in the kollel there in the yeshiva of Maran. They used to give us like a doggy bag, on Tu Bishvat, with fruits, all kinds of fruits in there. So we would give it to everybody, all the avrachim, all the talmidim there, and everybody would have, you didn't have to go to the store and buy, everything was in your hands, right? So that's the way it was, So let's just go through the brachot, right, and see what we have to do. So as we said, right, there's a pasuk, in Sefer Devarim, chet, right, perek chet, pasuk chet. Over there it tells you all these fruits that we just mentioned, right, all these species that we just mentioned in Eretz Israel. It tells you all of them. So according to the order of that pasuk, that's how we do the brachot. That's the thing, right? So if you look over there, you'll see, right? What comes first? First comes wheat, So if you're having mezonot, right, you should bless on that first. Right? That's the number one. As we said, right, you're not really obligated to do mezonot. But if you're having, okay, so do that one first, Mezonot is number one. Number two, what's number two? Olives, right? You make borei pri'ayitz. If you have olives, do on olives. Don't do on the dates. Don't do on the pomegranate. Do on this and it covers everything. Right? You don't have to do on each one. Borei pri'ayitz 10 times. You don't have to do that like that. One covers everything. As long as you're eating together, right? In one shot. Okay, so in one meal. In one sitting, whatever, right? So you got olives comes first. If you don't have olives, what comes next? Dates. Oh, good. So dates is next. What's after that? Grapes, right? Grapes. If you have or raisins, right? Same thing. Raisins are dried grapes. That's what they are. It's the same thing. Okay. So then, what do we got after that? Then we got figs, right? If you don't have those, figs. If you don't have the figs, pomegranate, right? Limon. This is the order that we have, right? With the as we said, right? But if you have olives, just make on that borei pri'ayitz and you cover everything. That's it, right? Don't make 5 times, 10 times. Same bracha. So this is what you need, right, to do this mitzvah. Some people also have a minhag. What they do? They drink wine also, borei pri'agifen, because it also comes from grapes. Some people like to do that too. It's not really, you don't have to really do it, but it's good, whatever. It's there's all kinds of minhagim about this, how to do this, how to do that. Wine is also good. Some people do wine. So that's it, right? So borei pri'agifen, right? That's going to be. And that's the same level as the grapes, right? It's the same kind of thing, but it's a different bracha, right? Borei pri'agifen. It's not the same bracha. So the truth is, right, that as we said, if you have wine, you can do that too, But as we said, right, only one bracha for each type. And then if you have other fruits, right, if they're from the tree, like let's say you have mandarina, right, orange, right. So don't make a bracha on that because you already made on the other one, right? So you don't need. Don't make another bracha. Mandarina, orange, right? All kinds of things. Or if you're eating hadama, right? Things like which are hadama, like strawberry, right? And what do you call it? And banana, things like this, right? It's hadama. So it's a different bracha. You know what I mean? You make hadama on those. It has nothing to do with these. You know what I mean? The two different brachot. One doesn't cover the other. You understand what I'm saying, right? So you got to make a different bracha on those. So as we said, right? That's the order. But the truth is, it says in Shulchan Aruch that if you want to bless first hadama, you like the strawberries, I don't know, whatever, you can do that, before the ha'etz, you can do, if you want to do. But if you have something which is shehakol, right, there, you're not supposed to do, first shehakol. First you do hadama or ha'etz. Why? Because those are more specific brachot. Shehakol is a general bracha for all kinds of foods. So the specific one comes first, right, that's the thing. That's the reason why we do it in this order. So okay, that's the thing. Right, now, what about the bracha achrona, right? Final bracha. What do you do? Right, so if you had these 7 species, as we said, you ate a kazait, which is 27 grams. It's not really a lot. Right? Even if you had together, a couple of things together, all of them, together, they combine 27 grams, 25 grams. So you make al ha'etz, right? Al pri ha'etz, you make a final bracha, right? A bracha achrona. If you had mezonot, ala michya also, right? If you had wine, also ala gefen, al pri gefen, right? So you can put all 3 of them together in one bracha, right? We don't do separately each one. If you had all of them, put all of them together in one bracha, covers everything, right? Why make 3 times, the same thing over and over? That's not the way it's supposed to be. So you cover everything like that. One time last year, I remember our friend over here asked us, which is the right order, like when it comes to ala michya, the ala gefen. So first comes, if you had all these things, first is ala michya, then ala gefen, and then ala etz, right? That's the order. This is the right, according to the chashivut, according to the prominence of these foods. That's the way you do it. You put it all together and chomp it up into one bracha. Does this cover also, right, the strawberry and then the banana? This bracha? No. Why? Because it's not from the tree, right? So ala etz ve'al pri etz. But anyway, since it says al tenuvat hasadeh, right? Some poskim say, it does cover, because tenuvat sadeh means things which grow in the field, So therefore, Maran Rabbi, he writes in Chazon Obadiah that when you do the bracha achrona, right, if you had also, as we said, right, the hadama, and that requires bor nefashot, right? It's not ha'etz, bor nefashot. So therefore, do bor nefashot first, and then al ha'etz, right? Because this way, you won't be covered by the al ha'etz, right? For sure, this way, for sure you're good. That's the way to do it. First bor nefashot, and then al ha'etz, right, or al michya, whatever you're doing, right, according to what you ate, as we said. That's the order of things, right? Some people also like to do, by the way, they like to do, tehillim, and, they say all kinds of tefillot, Some people have like a seder, it's printed like in a sidur, birkun, whatever, something like that, right? Piece of paper, it's written there. It's not really obligation to do these things, Some people like to do it. It's good, whatever. To each his own, right? You do it? He doesn't. Smart guy. Because the truth is, if you have time, extra time, better to learn Torah, than to do these things. But anyway, if you're not learning Torah, so why not say some Tehillim? It's good, Baruch Hashem. Tehillim is also Torah. You know what they say, right? That David HaMelech, when he wrote the Tehillim, he prayed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know what he said to him? He told him, he says, please, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want you to make it, that my Tehillim, when people read my Tehillim, they should get the zechut, the sachar, like they learned the most complicated halachot. I want you to give them zechut like this. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen to him, right? Tzaddik goes there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mekayim. Whatever the tzaddik says, Hashem is mekayim. So therefore, what happened was, that now HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it, the Tehillim, when a person reads Tehillim, it's like he's reading the most complicated halachot, He gets a lot of schar. But anyway, right? For a person who's a Talmid Chacham, he knows how to learn, right? Like Yonatan, right? He knows how to learn. So therefore, for him, it's better to learn, some poskim, some halachot. It's better, because it's a higher level, So if you have a choice, always, better to learn, more, right, complicated stuff, which you need, halachot and all kinds of Talmud, right? Things Zohar, right? These are better, than just reading Tehillim. But the person who doesn't know how to learn these things, and he reads Tehillim, Hashem considers it like he did the most complicated halachot. That's an amazing thing, right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a big sachar, big zechut, right? But that's the ladies, I remember from my grandmother, when I used to see her, she used to, read Tehillim all the time. When she had nothing to do, she wasn't working in the kitchen, always opening Tehillim, reading. I'm sorry, can you talk outside if you, Mechila? So, as we said, right, that this is the thing, so the Seder is nice, but learning Torah, Talmud Torah can get kulam, right? The Torah is even better than all these things. Okay, so I guess we'll stop here. Baruch Adonai Leolam, Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hanania ben Kashomer, אצל הקדוש ברוך הוא זכות ישראל, לפיכך הכתוב בא להם תורה ומצוות שנאמר אדוני חפץ, למען צדקו יגדיל תורה בידי.